Right, hello. So I'm doing a quick review. Well, I say quick, it probably might take a little while. But they're basically going to be quite quick reviews for four, maybe five books. So I'm going to start off with Stieg Larsson, Stieg Larsson, the girl with the dragon tattoo. Now, these are trilogies, by the way. They're like novels, but they're trilogies. And so I'm going to do like a quick review of these like four trilogies. The first one is Stieg Larsson's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the Millennium Trilogy. The second one is the Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Then Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials trilogy. And the last one is, what's his name? Garth Nix. I don't know what trilogy that is called, but it's Sabriel, Libriel, and the Aborson. Right, okay, so Larsson's trilogy, right? The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Now, I'm reading it for the second time. Okay, what I think about this to start with, I'm just going to tell you what my sort of immediate impression is, at least on the second time round. The impression I get, right, because you need to know a little bit about this guy. This is the picture of him, right? He kind of looks a bit apathetic, a bit ambitious, but apathetic. A sort of a balance of apathy and ambition. And he looks quite well dressed. You know, he's a smart guy. He's clean shaven. What happened, right, was he wrote this book and he gave it to his publishers, and then he died in mysterious or unexpected circumstances very soon after he handed the books in to his publisher. And he was let me just read you a little bit of the front inside cover. Stieg Larsson was born in 1954, was a journalist. He was the editor-in-chief of the magazine Expo from 1999 and had previously worked at a major news agency for many years. He was one of the world's leading experts on anti-democratic, right-wing, extremist and Nazi organizations, and was often consulted on that account. He died suddenly and unexpectedly in November 2004, soon after delivering the manuscript for 3 crime novels to his Swedish publisher. These novels make up the Millennium Trilogy and have gone to sell many millions of copies worldwide. Tragically, Larsson did not live to see the phenomenon of his work became. Now, apparently, there's a film. I haven't actually seen the film. Okay. What I find about the book, right? The impression that I get is that he wrote this book. He made a deal with the fucking devil. That's what I reckon. He made a deal with the devil. That's how it comes across. He wrote the best novel ever written. And then the devil just took his soul straight afterwards. As soon as he'd written it, he thought, all right, you've got your fame. There you go. There's the best novel ever written. And now I'm taking your soul. And that's how it comes across to me, right? It's so well written. It's unbelievable. You know, it's just intoxicating. It's like a drug. This is the second time I've read it, and it's just it makes me laugh. You know, and I can see that I'm probably going to read it again. There's not many books that have this effect on me. Reading a book a second time. There's several books I've read and really enjoyed, and I've gone back to read them the second time, and they're just boring. I just can't read them. And just sort of, no, I know what's going to happen. But there are certain books that are so well written that you forget how all the details and stuff. And when you read it again, it's like reading it for the first time. It becomes better the second time you read it. And this is one of those books, it's like, and I only read it a few years ago. I only read it first of all about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'm reading it for the second time. The main characters are Lisbeth Salander. She's this sort of computer hacker who's had a very difficult childhood. She won't take any shit from anybody. She's like pretty much autistic. She's very short. She's very thin. She's tried to kill her father at least once, with a Molotov cocktail. Her father was a defective Russian agent who defected to Sweden, and then it became like a sort of like a criminal, like a sort of a mafia sort of person, It's hard. The thing about these books is you just have to take my word for it. This is a great read. I just don't know what to say about it. It's really hard to talk about these things. You just have to look at go and look it up on Wikipedia or something. Go and check out some of the descriptions. Like, for example, the ballyhoo is fully justified. The novel scores on every front: character, story, atmosphere, and the translation. That's from the Times. The style is leisurely and detailed, the plot interesting and credible, but above all, the heroine is splendid, the original and extraordinary book. There's just loads and loads of like really high up not criticism. The critics have got only good things to say about this book, Okay, I might come back to this book. Let me go into Lord of the Rings quickly. So Lord of the Rings, the reason I put that in this review is that it's another book like I've been able to go back and read again for the second time. And it's just better than it was the first time, So it's obviously why it's such a popular book. It's been popular for decades, and it's still selling, and it's just amazing literature. Okay, the Philip Pullman books, his Dark Materials. I mean, there's no point me labouring Lord of the Rings. Most people have seen the movies. Okay, his Dark Materials. The book, the film was called, I think it was called The Golden Compass, but the original book was something different. It was named something different. But the books are just amazing. They're the sort of books you can read and then you want to read them again. You read all 3 books and you want to go back and read them again, or at least you do a few years later, and they're still amazing when you read them again. Okay, what's the last trilogy? Oh, Garth Nix. I mean, the first book in the Garth Nix trilogy, Sabriel, it's got a quote from Philip Pullman, who's the writer of his Dark Materials. Sabriel is a winner, a fantasy that reads like realism. I congratulate Garth Nix. this woman Sabriel in the book, she's like a kind of like she's a necromancer, but a special type of necromancer that is like endorsed by this thing called the Charter, and it's like a magical energy that's been laid down hundreds of years before, or a thousand years before, and it gives the people that work with the Charter a certain energy and a certain power and magic. They have magical abilities. What's so good about it is that it's like a child's book. A child can, you can read it to children, but there's so much stuff in there that is like relevant to things like the work. It's again, it's one of these books. It's really hard to say what's so great about them, I find. They're just all really well written. They've got lots of humor, but they're also extremely like sad in a lot of ways. They're really like dark and mysterious, and there's a lot of unpleasantness, but it's also balanced with humor. So they just seem like a really good read. You can read them, you get really absorbed in them, and you can go back and read them again. And so, I mean, the Larsson books I've just got, I got them for about 80 pence, all three of them in like the second-hand shops. I got all three books for 80 pence. It would have cost about, well, nearly £24 if I'd bought them brand new. And so I got all three of them for 80 pence. That's what I get. I get my books from the second-hand shops and that usually. There is one other book, I might go back to them. Oh, let me put the chat on if anyone wants to leave any comments. There's one other book, the Duncton trilogy, but I'll just go and get the book. I'll just be a second. This is the second book in the trilogy, Duncton Quest, by this guy, William Horwood. That's a picture of him there. This is another great trilogy. I've only read this. I've just started the second book. I might have read the first book at some point. I don't think I have. But it's about moles. Like the little creatures that dig up people's lawns. That can't see very well and that. But mole is another word for like a spy. And people that live it's a symbol for people living underground, like the underworld. And so it kind of connects with the work, and because to me the work is about being underground. That's why one of the reasons I keep my channel quite small if I can. So the agents aren't going to be on my case, in the Duncton books, there's this war between the word and the stone, and the stone is like the good guys. They're like the old-fashioned guys, and the word is like it's like the Christians, the orcs, the bad guys. They're the bad guys, the ones with the word, and it sort of really resonates with me because I've been making a lot of videos about, and talked about the written word being a great evil. Which reminds me, I was going to do a proper review on this book, The Forbidden Mysteries of Enoch. This contains the Book of Enoch, I think both the books of Enoch, and a few other books like the Book of Noah, and maybe some other stuff, you know. But there's a lot of interesting stuff here where she compares the Book of Enoch with different passages in the Bible, biblical parallels to the Book of Enoch. There's a whole chapter, a huge chapter in there, like about 50 or 60 pages or something. And there's loads of like interesting parallels between what's in the Bible and what's in the Book of Enoch. And she makes it very clear that when you take into consideration the way that the Bible's been translated into English and what the original texts were, it's very clear that the Book of Enoch was used by the early Christians. You know, so when there's no reason for it to not be in the Bible. There are reasons. It's a very long book. You know, it's hundreds of pages, so it would have been probably the biggest, fattest book in the Bible by quite a long way, 2 or 3 times longer than any other book in the Bible. Over 100 chapters. And there's all these translations of words in the Bible that in the English translation don't really make a lot of sense. You know, that they just seem very vague and difficult to understand. When you read a book like this, the Bible starts making sense. You know, you can start making sense out of it. You think, oh, that's what those people meant by that. I mean, there's loads of stuff in the Bible that when you translate it into English, I mean, there's a psalm, it talks about these 4 beasts that attack people and that you have to be wary of. And they mention the dragon and the lion and the young lion, and I think maybe the serpent. And these are very, very poor translations of what the original text said. The original text included words like the basilisk. Hi, HRC. Nice to see you. The basilisk. The basilisk is something that turns you into stone. It freezes you. It's like the Gorgon. It's like the Medusa. You know, it turns you to stone when you look at it. You know, and the young lion or serpent doesn't do it justice. You know, they seem like little tiny things, and maybe that was the intention, but they, from my experience of doing the work, they don't really ring true at all. You know, they're not good translations. It's fucking it's deceptive, incredibly deceptive. Okay, that's going off topic a bit, isn't it? Well, not really, no, because I was talking about the fifth trilogy, the Duncan Quest trilogy. These guys are the moles, and you know, people doing the work, we got to be like the moles. I mention all these books because I thoroughly recommend them. All these trilogies, they're like, if you've got the time, if you're basically like me and you're unemployed and haven't got much chance of finding work or a job, then it might be worth your while if you get a chance, because you can often find these books in secondhand stores really cheap, just for a few pennies, you know. And if you've got time on your hands, I really think they're worth a read, because according to Pandora's books, you know, all that was left inside the books was hope. And so I say that it's these sort of books, the Larsson trilogy, the Philip Pullman trilogy, the Tolkien trilogy, the Garth Nix trilogy, and this guy, the William Hall with Duncan Quest trilogy. They make you feel hopeful. They make me feel hopeful, you know. And okay, one of the things about let's go back to the Larsson books, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is one I'm reading at the moment. It's really quite horrible. The book, there's really nasty crimes in there. There's some really horrible people, but it makes me laugh. It's some of it's so funny, you know. It's so humorous and just very well written. So well written. It's unbelievable. This is why I said at the beginning of the video. I reckon the guy probably made a deal with the devil, you know. It's hard to imagine how somebody could write a book that's it seems so perfect, you know. It's so well written. There's no wasted lines in there. It's just, you know, it's just very sparse, and there's just no waste in there, you know. Even though another good thing about it, each book gets longer. Each part of the trilogy gets longer. The first book's just over 500 pages. The second book's nearly 600 pages, and the third book's over 700 pages. And they're riveting. I started this book yesterday, like I don't know, probably you know, less than 24 hours ago, and I'm 400 pages in. You know, I've already read 400 pages just in less than 24 hours. It's like I can't stop reading it, and I've already read it. I've read it before. It's just so like it's so engrossing. It's so riveting. You just can't stop reading it. Ah, dear. The plot is quite intricate and involved. There's no point me going over the plot. It's not very much point. I mean, look at the reviews at the front there. Brilliant by Heat, fantastic, Sunday Times, dazzling, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just is just... and I really like the picture of this guy. He looks so, like, bored. Ah, dear. And it's the fact that he died right after he put the pictures in, and the book is about the other character in the book is this guy who's just like Larsson. He's like the editor of a sort of smallish magazine that deals with uncovering corruption in high places, you know, which is basically what the work's about. You know, we're basically being real Christians, but without bothering to call ourselves Christians, because we don't want to be associated with people that basically call themselves Christians, which is most people that call themselves Christians haven't got a clue what Christianity is about, you know. And are nowhere near being like real Christians at all. So that's why I don't really call myself a Christian, because I don't want to be like mistaken for other people that call themselves Christians who aren't Christians at all. They haven't got a clue what it means to be a Christian. They have not the slightest idea. And this guy, he's talking about journalists who haven't got a clue to be out what it means to be journalists. He doesn't like to call himself an investigative journalist because he knows the vast majority of people that call themselves investigative journalists are anything but. They're just lapdogs for fucking crooks, you know. That's who they are. And one of the great things about these books is that they put this across in a way that you can't really deny. It really makes a lot of sense. And so therefore, that's why I come to this conclusion that he probably made a deal with the devil to write the best fucking book ever. You know, and as soon as he wrote it, the devil just sort of like, right, now your soul's mine, you're coming with me, like, you know. That's how it comes across. That's how it reads, you know. It's so close to the bone. You can imagine so many people in high places would want this guy dead straight away. You know, all the people that are working for the devil, we've got to kill this guy. We can't have him roaming around, you know. And you know, why did he die? He was only in his early 50s or something, you know. Okay, So while I'm here, I might as well get on to another subject about doing the work. I was going to do a separate video, but I kind of like hiding what I want to talk about in other videos so people can't find them. It means I can put information across and not worry about people, getting loads, not worry about getting loads of subscribers all of a sudden and stuff. I can keep my channel. It's a way of keeping my channel small, where still I can get I can say what I want to say and get things done. There's always time, my channels are here, in theory they're here to stay for a long time. People can always come back and watch my videos. If anything happens to me, people can say, oh, like HRC, you can say, oh, check this guy's video out. He disappeared unexpectedly and in mysterious circumstances, but his videos are really cool. You have to watch them. And then they can become really popular. When I've gone to live in Bolivia or somewhere in the rainforest, become addicted to coca leaf. Then people can watch my videos, and I won't have to worry about it. But in the meantime, the resistance. I've kind of figured out now what's been stopping me doing the work and pushing forward with it and making progress. It's this thing called resistance. Now, there's an interesting idea I've come across, and I got it from London Real's video recently, where he done a video about Dan Pino, the $50 billion man. And I really recommend the video. It's worth watching. It's about an hour long. He's a great bloke. He's got this catchphrase, just fucking do it, like Nike, just do it. But his version is just fucking do it, for emphasis, And he's really cool. He swears all the time. I watched a 2 hour, well, I don't know if I finished watching it now. There's a 2.5 hour video of him like doing a video like to a university sort of crowd. And he's shouting and screaming the whole way through, and probably swearing a bit and stuff. He's really like intense. And I just got a real boost from watching him. I feel like he's the guy I want to watch. They say you're the the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So my idea would, part of doing the work and watching videos on YouTube, is that you try and hang around with the people that are most successful and have got the most knowledge that you can benefit from and relate to, So there's a few people. I can think of about 3 people now on YouTube that I actually like. At the moment, he's my favourite one. The London Real guy is probably another one, actually. He's pretty cool. Then you've got people like Wim Hof. And there's a couple of other guys. So there's about 5 pretty cool people that I watch on YouTube. I'm sorry, HRC, your videos are not like, your content is not like conducive to the work. Although I do like your videos. I'm not saying it's not conducive to the work completely, but it's not really like, it's not like you talking. I like to see people talking. I always sum up your videos now. Every video I've seen in the last couple of months, I've thumbed up. Or at least the last month anyway. I'm making a habit of anytime I see your videos, they get a thumb up straight away, But these other guys, they're really on it. You've got to check out Dan Pena. He's like a fucking phenomenon. The $50 billion man, he just makes me laugh, and he makes me think that, right, yeah, man. He talks about things like when he was at college, he fucked nearly every woman on the college. There was a handful that he didn't fuck. He didn't fuck the really ugly, stuck-up girls, but he fucked nearly every fucking girl in the college, and it's believable. I believe him. maybe he didn't actually fuck nearly all of them, but it was probably quite a lot, you know. He's saying how his testosterone is like way over the charts. He's got like 1500 to 1800 testosterone. A normal male in their 30s or 40s or 20s has only got about 800, and he's like 1500, 1800 or something. It's ridiculous, you know. And I believe him. You can tell he's obviously got a fucking huge amount of testosterone. Well, it's nice for you that I'm glad that you think that, HRC. Well, I don't have to tell people things like that because I already know that I am, you know, so I don't have to sort of like, you know. This is why I gravitate to these sort of people. I mean, this guy, Dan Pena, he's 74, you know, and he looks like about 74, but a 74-year-old with like a real lot of testosterone, you know, twice as much as most your average, you know, probably 6 or 8 times more than your average man, especially your average person who's a pensioner, you know. Oh dear. Okay, I'm going to go back over some of these books again and what else I like about them. Lord of the Rings. I mean, all of these books, these trilogies, they've got hardcore shit going on. Lord of the Rings, as for example, has got lots of information that comes from Norse mythology, and I don't want to say Celtic because Celtic is a word that comes from the Romans, and it means anyone that's not not civilized. You know, it's a derogatory term, so it shouldn't really be used. But it's very difficult to find another word. So the native British and Irish people, but even that is not accurate. But it's really hard to find an accurate word. Gaelic might be a better word. The Gaelic speaking people. Now, what seems to make sense about these people? Thanks for watching, by the way. Thanks for your thumbs up and shares and stuff. What the Gaelic... Oh, okay, I'll get back to that, HRC. Remind me to talk to you about HRC. There's some things you can do to really like boost up your testosterone quite easily and quickly. Surprisingly quickly and surprisingly easily and cheap. Things that hardly anyone talks about, but I know they work because I've tried them myself and I can feel the benefit. Even though I'm drinking beer and beer lowers your testosterone, I'm still, my testosterone still been going up because I'm doing so many things to sort of like boost it. Even though beer is one of the worst things you can do. I'm still boosting my testosterone. So anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. So much information in there is based on Norse mythology and Gaelic speaking history and stuff. What they found out, I've been watching things like, I think it was Michael Tsarian, it could have been someone else. Most Native American tribes, right, their languages are based on Celtic or Gaelic. So in the Tolkien books, the elves, we're basically all elves, right? The orcs, the Christians or the orcs, right, were originally elves, right? According to like the Lord of the Rings sort of like mythos. The elves were the original people. I mean, you can look at it in terms of this book as well, the Duncton books. These are the molds of the stone. You know, they're in these books. They're the stone molds. The word molds. They're like the Christians. They're like the orcs. It's exactly the same thing. It's just in a different format. You know, you can still get the same idea. It's the orcs versus the elves, but it's the word versus the stone. Different way of looking at it, but it's basically the same thing. They're the same type of people or creatures, you know, fucking horrendously evil, like the Christians burning all the witches, you know, or the herbalists, you know, they called them witches. They project their evil onto people, just like they did when they went over to America and they started wiping out all the Native Americans. According to Tolkien, these are the people basically who the elves went and lived in. They moved over to North America, you know, a few thousand years ago, a few hundred years ago. It's difficult to know exactly when they moved, you know, probably a few thousand years ago, and their language can be traced back to Gaelic, you know, the original language of the natives in Britain and Ireland, you know, and other areas in Europe, you know, like Germany, Norway, Sweden, Finland, those sort of areas, Denmark, Belgium, France. Before the Romans came and like the Christians and conquered everywhere and forced everyone to give up their old languages and created these new languages for everybody, which are all based on sort of Phoenician phonetics and Latin and stuff, and which are designed to keep like they're slave languages. Yeah, so the North American people were. It seems if you read, when you understand that Tolkien studied all these histories, these old histories like the Norse mythologies, the Gaelic language and their histories, the Druid histories and stuff. The original people, which Tolkien calls the elves, left this area, left Europe, and went west to America, and that's why they all speak basically bit different varieties of Gaelic. You know, it's really quite clear. And then we went over there again with our new religion, our sort of like word religion, and corrupted them, gave them whiskey and smallpox and, you know, shitty food and farming and stuff. And we done some really horrible things, you know. And people have done this in Africa as well. We just killed all the animals for no reason at all, not even for food, just for sport and just to get rid of them, so we could turn the land into farms. And what we've done was to create loads of deserts. And we've done the same thing in Africa. You know, Africa used to be a completely different place. People have gone there and just killed loads and loads of animals. Not necessarily always white people. I mean, a lot of the time, the indigenous people, as soon as they've got guns, we've given them guns, and they've just gone and shot just basically killed all the animals. And then it just turned everywhere into desert. It creates desertification. It's completely mad. Especially when people get the word, they go crazy and they start killing everything. You give someone a book and a gun and they start going crazy and killing everything. That's what they do. Okay, I'm just going to use the toilet quickly because I'm drinking beer and it just goes right through me. But I'm going to get back to you, HRC, with the testosterone thing, because I need to sort your testosterone out. I'm going to do that in 1 minute. Right, I'm back. Just don't go away. Okay, so if you want your testosterone to go up, now the benefits of testosterone is that you're going to feel a lot healthier, you're going to sleep better, you're going to be more confident, you're going to have more energy. You know, there are loads of benefits to having more testosterone. There's lots of things you can do. One of the things I've been doing, I'll just quickly show you actually, it's pretty straightforward. This is just some it's not very much weight, but it's like about 20 odd kilos, just 20, 22 kilos, 24 kilos. And this is the second time today that I've done this, you know. I'm just messing around with a barbell. I mean, I can do more, I can lift more weights than this, but this is just to sort of exhaust me quite quickly. Just doing a few repetitions, quite slow. You know, I haven't got big muscles, so it's like, it doesn't take me long for me to start getting my muscles a bit exhausted, you know. 30 seconds, a minute or two, just keep moving him around until I get fed up with it. Okay, well, I mean, I could do a little bit more, but I don't want to overdo it because I want to be able to make sure I'm recovering okay. So I don't do too much, but that's my second time for the day. That's it for the day, probably. But just doing a little bit of weights twice a day, that will boost your testosterone a bit. Another thing that's really works well is this stuff, Tonka Ali. I'm sure there's other names to it. Long Jack, it's sometimes called. You can get it quite cheap. I got 3 of these, 60 capsules, I think. Yeah, just you can take 1 a day. I got them for £10 for three bottles like this on eBay. So that's like what you can do with these. If you take 1 a day for 90 days, it will boost your testosterone up to what it should be, which for a lot of people is like, you know, you're on about fucking a quarter of the testosterone that you should be on. If you're drinking a lot of alcohol, it could be about 10% of what you should have. Now, in order to get it up, boost it up, you need to basically curb your alcohol consumption, which I haven't done yet. I haven't even done these. I've had these for about a year or more, over a year, and this is only my second thing. I haven't been doing them regularly, but when I do, you notice you get a lot more wood in the morning. You know, you can really notice your testosterone boosting up. If you take these for 90 days, your testosterone will go up to what it should be, and it will stay like that for another 6 months after. Yeah, I've tried it. I've tried so many things. There's loads of other things you can do. He Shall Woo is another one you can take to boost you. It really looks after your testicles, you know. Ashwagandha is another one. Yeah, DHEA, that's probably something that helps a little bit. There's a lot of things you can do. This is probably the best thing, but also things like cutting alcohol. It's not just what you take, it's what you don't take. Alcohol is going to drop your ability to produce testosterone quite dramatically, but you also need lots of vitamins and minerals. You want to do workouts, you want to do like lift weights, do high intensity interval training and stuff, one or two times a week. Have sex. Have sex is supposed to be good for testosterone. I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever had sex. If I ever did, it was such a long time ago. I've forgotten what it's like. But anyway, it's like there are quite a lot of things. You've only got to look it up. You can look it up on YouTube. Increased testosterone. There's bound to be loads of videos that are much better than this. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about earlier, resistance. In London Real's video, he talks about this universal force that prevents you from making progress and doing the work, right? You want to become a better person, a stronger person, a healthier person, a more productive person, a stronger person, a wealthier person, a person who's more successful with the ladies or the men, according to your tastes, you know, and predilections. So there's this universal force, according to London Real anyway, and I've heard it in other places, that's going to push you in the other direction so that you're not going to do very well, and you feel this like thing stopping you. As soon as you start to sort of make an effort to try and do the work, all these stupid fucking things happen and just fuck your head up and knock you back to where you were, you know, so you can't make the progress. Now, so he talks about this, and other people have talked about this as though it's some sort of like, just sort of indifferent, you know, universal force. You know, it's not actually an agent, because it's not necessarily a person. It could be internal, you know. So maybe your agent is your subconscious or your super ego or something. It's programmed into you. You're conditioned. It's your conditioning, maybe. Right. Well, I've given this some thought, and sometimes it seems so bizarre and so like unlikely. It's difficult to comprehend, but there's another way of looking at this, that it's actually to do with things like black magic, like satanic ritual child abuse, for example, that has an effect on what that guy talks about, that scientific guy. He talks about the morphogenic field, you know, the aura of different animals. It's where the idea of the 100th monkey comes from. You know, when they've done all these experiments in Indonesia in the 60s and 70s and stuff, where they put loads of sweet potatoes in the sea, and there's all these islands that have only got monkeys on them, right? And the monkeys go and, oh, hi, Mind Raper. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Nice comment. That's what I'm thinking as well. It's like, you know, you do everything you can, and it's like this resistance is just there. Now, some people say that it's just a force of the universe, you know, but why should it be there? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, you know. Maybe God's just a fucking arsehole. I prefer to think of it in terms of like demonic, satanic kind of black magic. You know, it creates this force. That force is there. It's not an accident. It's been put there deliberately. It's what the whole object of this satanic ritual child abuse and stuff is there for. It's what the king murdering force is there for. You know, killing the kings, people like the assassination of John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King. Those sort of things. You know, they're done in such a way to keep this energy of resistance, so that people are continually cowed, and it feeds into the morphogenic field, and it makes people generally like cowards and slaves and order followers. But it also creates a sort of like a tsunami effect in the astral plane, So that when you try to sort of go against this, you try to sort yourself out, you try to get on top of things, you try to do the work, you try to make progress, then there's all this energy that's all been built up and like through ritual and things like the way the religions, it's not just we're hearing. I'm talking about modern day things, but this goes back in history to like the burning of the witches, the putting the Christians into the lion's den. It goes back forever and ever. All the scapegoat religions throughout history. Anyone who doesn't agree and doesn't like accept the sort of slave-like orc mentality, then they just make an example out of them. But it's not just to make an example. I mean, that is a big part of it. They make an example, but it creates a sort of whole energy, a sort of momentum energy that keeps makes this resistance. So when you try to do the work, there's this whole huge tidal wave of energy, of negative energy, crashing down on you personally, and it creates this huge amount of resistance. So I'm just looking at it in terms of why is it so powerful and why was it so difficult to do something about it? In terms of the Matrix, it's like Agent Smith, it's like it's just there all the time. Every person you come across is going to sabotage you if you're trying to do the work. They'll find ways to pull the rug from under you and stab you in the back and stuff, Yeah, dear. So, I don't know what to say about it. Patience. Be patient. Keep trying. Be aware of these things. Be aware that the resistance is there. It's probably not natural. I don't like to believe that it's natural. If we lived in paradise before, then it can't be natural. How has it come about? It's through devils and demons and stuff. That's what I think. And black magic. Why do they do all these rituals? Why do they kill all these people? I mean, it's partly to stay in power. You can look at it in terms of there's a materialistic reason, but there's also, if you believe in the spirit and you believe that there are things beyond the material world, then these things are going to have an effect, aren't they? Okay. I'm just making a cigarette. So that's why I'm not talking for a minute. You just gather your thoughts. You give it that little bit of thought while I make a cigarette. Yeah. I think that's about it really for this video. I don't see the point of hanging on unless you've got any questions, any of you. I think I'm going to basically tie it up now. Anything else about the books? Interesting thing about the Garth Nix books. I didn't really talk about the Garth Nix books much. I'll tell you some stuff about it just to see if I can get you interested, because I don't know many people that have actually read them, or anyone actually, I don't think. So Sabriel, she's this young lady who's been given this sort of job as a kind of necromancer, but who works for the good guys. And one of her jobs is she has to send people like the dead, i.e. the orcs, the zombies, the bad guys, back to death. And how she does this is with bells. She's got this thing, a bandolier, like you have you see the Mexicans in the old cowboy films with their bandoliers of bullets, the crisscross bandoliers. She's got a bandolier, but it's got bells. It's got 7 bells, all these different shaped and sounding bells, and they all have different purposes, but they're basically all about sending the dead back to death. And death is like a place, and she goes there, and when she goes into death, her body freezes up and literally freezes. She has like icicles coming off of her nose and stuff, and frost in her hair, and she has to go into death, and there's this water there, There's about 9 levels of death, and each level's got its own like strange phenomena. And there are people hanging around. Each level has got like a water that flows into the next level, and you can get caught by the current and dragged into the next level. And if you don't know what you're doing, you just get taken further and further to the 9th level, and eventually there's no way back. But for a lot of people who manage to who are quite powerful, they can find their way back into life. They become like zombies or vampires. They take over someone's dead body, and they become back into life, and they just become like a nightmare for humans and real people. And it's a children's book. It's like to me, it's like a combination of Alice in Wonderland and Lord of the Rings. If the Alice in Wonderland and Lord of the Rings had a love child, it would be the Sabriel Libriel Aborson trilogy by Garth Nix. It's really great. It's just like a really wonderful read. As Philip Pullman says, it's like realism. There's a lot of realism there, so it just feels really real what he's talking about, and it just makes a lot of sense. It connects with your inner feelings, and you can just feel it. Oh, when did you do that then, Mind Rape Art? I never got rid of an implant. I mean, I've heard a lot about them. I've seen videos about them and stuff. I've always had this view on aliens that a few days ago. Did you get it on video? I bet you didn't get it on video. What happened to it? Did it disappear like they're supposed to just dissolve and disappear after a few hours? Yeah. Maybe you didn't know what it was when you took it out. I'm a bit dubious about alien technology and stuff because yeah, I know. Yeah, did you get it on video though? When you took it out, did you make a video of it so people could see it? I know there's videos out there like this. I'm not doubting you, but well, I am a little bit, but it's like seeing it on video would make me like get rid of any doubts, so I could take you more seriously. It wasn't a visible implant. Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting in like relation to what David Icke talks about, how the electromagnetic spectrum is a tiny percentage of the whole spectrum of. I don't know what he means actually, whether he means electromagnetic spectrum or whatever the energy spectrum. I think what he was trying to say was that there's a whole spectrum of stuff. And then in that is the electromagnetic spectrum. And within the electromagnetic spectrum, there's a tiny little portion, which is the visual spectrum, so that, we can only see a very tiny amount of stuff, which is actually there, with our eyes. And there's so much stuff that's not there. So I've had experiences with this sort of thing, things that aren't visible to the naked eye, but are obviously real. I had experience with some dogs when I was about 20 years old. I talked about this a while ago, a few videos ago. I heard a high-pitched noise, I get this quite a lot, these high-pitched noises, and there was this energy, like a little, it was about the size of a car battery, and it just moved across the ceiling quite quickly, you know, it moved across about 6 meters of ceiling in about half a second. Quite quickly it was gone, but as I watched it move across the ceiling, after I heard the high-pitched noise, I looked up, saw this thing moving across the ceiling, and I saw out the corner of my eye the two dogs on the other side of the room, both also looked up at the same time I did, and also followed it across the room just like I did, at exactly the same time. You know, so they could see it, they could hear it. I mean, dogs have got really good hearing. I've got really good hearing. I've got Neanderthal genes. I've got a big nose. I've got a very good sense of smell. I've got a very good acute hearing. When the police cars and stuff go by, I have to block my ears. I never see anyone block their ears, but I have to because it hurts my ears otherwise. You know, I can smell through tin cans. I can recognize people half a mile away by the way they walk. You know, I've got extremely good senses. You know, I've got Neanderthal senses, like hunter senses. Yeah, so I'm pretty certain that there's loads of stuff. Don Juan talks about this. Carlos Castaneda's Don Juan, he talks about this. Oh yeah, I'm like, didn't I make a video about Sherlock Holmes and autism already? You know, Asperger's or something. I mean, I've got my own things. I mean, my own stuff that I'm aware of, and you know, there's other people like the clairvoyants and the tarot readers and stuff. I don't really get along with that. To me, that's like that's half-assed kind of shit. That's not really real to me. Smelling through tin cans, that's real. I'll give you a demonstration. Look, this ain't a very good demonstration. I'm just going to show you how it works, right? Okay. Well, I've got 3 tins here, right? I'll show you what they are. You probably think I'm faking it because it's difficult to sort of like do it on my own without like. Now, what I could do, I've got these 3 tins. There's artichoke hearts, plum tomatoes, and sliced peaches, right? I'm going to turn them upside down. I won't look at them. I'm going to shuffle them around. Now, I know my subconscious already knows which ones, but I'm shuffling them around now, you know. Like, so I can't see which one is which, you know. I'm not looking. And now I'm going to smell one of them without looking at it. Right. I know what this one is. This is the artichokes. I can see by looking at it, it's the artichokes. I know. Anyway. Okay. Well, the other ones, they're both similar sort of cans. I'm going to look at them. Right. Okay. I can't tell which one this is now by looking at it. I'm going to have to smell through the can. Now it's either tomatoes or peaches. And it just smells like sort of fireworks to me at the moment. Oh, hang on. No, that's peaches. That's definitely peaches. Oh, it's tomatoes. I fucking got it wrong. Fuck. The first time I've got it wrong, but it wasn't a very good. You should be able to tell from that. Usually I get it right. Oh, fucking hell. That was a failure. What is going on here? Why do I smell like gunpowder or something? I think it might have been my cigarette. Oh, I'm such a fail. That was a failure. I'm sorry about that. No, I've done it about 3 or 4 times in the past and always got it right. And it was you when it does it in the past. It's other people taking the label off of a can, and I don't know what it is at all. And every time, without knowing anything about what it is, I've got it exactly right. There's one time it's been carrots. What else was there? I can't remember the other times. I'm sure it's been at least 2 or 3 times. Well, the smell comes first, and then I know what it is once I smell it. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take the labels off and wash the tins, and I'll do it again. But then I can't really tell which one's which, can I? Let me just find a way of doing it. Okay, I found a way. Okay, I know how to do it now. So anyway, I can see from the label, the dates on top, which ones they are, but I'm not going to look at that. If I just take the labels off, and I'm going to wash them quickly. Yeah, they all look pretty similar underneath the labels. Yeah, they all look pretty much the same. So yeah, I should be able to do that now. I mean, there's only a 1 in 3 chance I get it wrong, or 1 in 3 chance I get it right. Okay, I've got the 3 cans here. I've took the labels off, right? So I shouldn't be able to tell. This is not like a double blind. Really, it should be a double blind study. I mean, this isn't. I shouldn't know what each 3 ones are. I'm just going to take one at random while I'm looking up here. They're all in my hands. So I'm going to drop 2 of them. I'll just keep 1. Right. So now I'm just going to hold the end so I can't see what it is. Okay. It might take a bit of time. I can't rush these things. It's always taken a bit of time before. I already think I know what this one is. I want to do one of the other ones. I'm pretty sure this is artichokes because I can see the colour of the. Yeah, no, this is not a good one to do. This is definitely artichokes. I'm going to pick up one of the other ones. Ah, fucking hell. See, there's only a 50% chance I'm going to get it wrong, actually. So it's not a very good demonstration. So it's either peaches or tomatoes. I shouldn't be able to smell through it, right? I've washed them. So I've got to stop using my physical nose. I haven't done this for a long time. It's probably about 20 years since I've done this, nearly 20 years. See, my mind wants to just guess and get it over with. I'm trying to get through my instinctive mind and my stuff to switch over to my intuitive mind. It's worth it. You know, you don't have to do it quickly. When something like this really matters, it'll be worth 5 or 10 minutes, you know, so that you can smell something, you know, that's behind a barrier, say, you know. That's how your intuition works. Now I'm thinking of opening it up. No, I haven't got anything yet. Oh, luckily I've forgotten which one that's got the less writing on it. I can't seem to do it at the moment. Yeah, thank you, Bays in Big Joints. You're obviously a connoisseur. No, I can't really get anything from this. I know it seems like a joke. I'm just going to give up. I can't do it at the moment. I don't know what it is. I used to be able to do it. I swear I used to be able to do it. No, I can't seem to get anything. Yeah. Well, yeah. I've done that as well. I mean, maybe I can't do this today because it's not important, and but I have done it before as and it kind of experiment and got it right. I've done it. I seem to remember doing it about 3 times and got it right each time. But this today, maybe it's because it's on camera. I just can't do it or something, you know. Oh, now I got it. Now it's peaches. I'm just going to check that. I'm sure it's peaches. No, it's not peaches. Oh, so terrible at it. Ah, dear. Ah, what is going on? Oh, I got it wrong. I was wrong. That's terrible. Anyway, so I've done the video. I talked about resistance. I talked about the Duncan Quest trilogies and the other trilogies. I do recommend all those trilogies. You know, there's 5 that I've mentioned. They're great reads. And testosterone, you've got the Tonka Ali, He Shall Woo, but you have to balance He Shall Woo with if you've got like any chest problems, like I've got congestion. There's some things you can do to balance it. Black ant extract is one. Giving up drinking, don't drink so much, don't smoke so much. Eat good food. Then there's ashwagandha. Also helps with your testicles. There's quite a few other ones actually. One of the things I recommend don't take is saw palmetto. Do not take saw palmetto because it's shit. It doesn't help your testosterone. And fenugreek. Don't take fenugreek either. It doesn't work. So they're two of the supposed testosterone boosters that I've tried that really don't work at all. Saw palmetto and fenugreek. Just they do not work. Do not try them. They fuck you up. You know. And there's loads of things not to take as well, like not to take soya products if you're a man. I mean, you can probably get by on a little bit of good quality soya sauce, you know, or some of those like certain types of things like tofu, but not tofu. What's it called? Shaitan. There's this thing called seitan. It's like Satan, you know, but it's a sort of like a bit like tofu, but it's more raw. I think you can probably get away with a little bit of that now and again if you don't drink alcohol and beer and stuff. And oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, balancing serotonin and dopamine. Yeah, those things are cool. There's loads of stuff you can do. You know, there's loads of videos about it. But they're not all totally cool. I'm just telling you the benefit of my experience. When I've tried certain things, it's all gone pear-shaped. The worst one was saw palmetto, but also I think that fenugreek was pretty good. I avoid fenugreek now, and I do feel better for that. But doing exercise is really good. Exercise, like weights, the He Shall Woo definitely really works. And so does the Tonka Ali is really powerful for boosting testosterone. And just fucking do it, you know. And about the resistance, what am I going to expect from this resistance? It's like, that's what I got to think. It's kind of like a force of black magic, as well as maybe some natural force, but it's like it's hard to tell the difference. I'm going to work on this, and I'm going to have to get back to you when I've made some progress, because it's like this was going to be an update. That this part of the video was going to be an update on the progress and about resistance. And you know, if anyone's got any advice, but my advice at the moment I got from Dan Pena is just fucking do it. You know, this is why I've been doing the weights. I'm doing weights twice a day, because you know, weights definitely help with testosterone, and it builds up your body strength. It helps you sleep better. It sort of like counteracts all the things that are like going wrong. And it's just something that I can do every day, easily do twice a day. I don't have to do a lot. I'm gradually building up. I started off with like 15 kilos. I'm up to 22 kilos now. I'm just going to do messing around with the weights, gradually build it up. How can I can't see how that can only go right for me. I'm going to win with this, you know. I'm now the progress is like it's my bitch now. I talked about this. This is like 5 years ago. I talked about this in doing the work. I must have forgotten. It must have just got put in the backside. I've done too many videos. I have to. What I'm doing now with the progress is slimming it down to a much shorter group of videos. I'm going to work on, and if anyone's got any advice about how to, some good stuff about how to really get to the the core of it, what are the things that can really make a difference, I don't expect you to know very much because you're watching my videos. One of the things is to watch people like London Reels videos, watch Dan Pina's videos, because they really seem to know what they're doing. Dave Asprey, he's got a lot of quite interesting stuff, but he seems like a bit wimpy. He's a bit wet behind the ears compared to people like Dan Pina. Just check out Dan Pina's videos, right? Yeah, I like the deadlifts. I do the deadlifts. That's what I originally started doing. I was only doing it once or twice a week to start with. This is why I've switched to doing it twice a day, but not so much. Just something that I can quickly wear myself out by just doing a few, like I'll do a deadlift and then just do some lifts, like from the waist up to my shoulders and then up, up to above my head, and just do that a few times until my arms start getting tired, and put it down. So it's about getting a little bit of benefit, but I'm still able to recover properly, as long as I can recover quickly, because if I was doing too much and lifting too much, I find it takes me 2 or 3 days to recover because I drink a lot, whereas if I do less weight but just do it more often, I can recover more quickly, and I feel like I'm making more progress already, There's loads of other stuff that's really good, the breathing exercise from Wim Hof's method, where I done it on a video where I breathed in and out. I might even do it again. Shall I do it now? I'd like to see someone else do the breathing exercises. I haven't seen anyone else do it, I went and held my breath for 4 minutes. I'm going to have a go at it in a minute now. Okay, the thing about the breathing exercises, what I've noticed when I tried giving up alcohol, it's like doing the holding your breath for 2.5 minutes or 4 minutes, but it goes on for a lot longer, but it feels similar. But it does have a powerful effect on your brain. I'm going to do it now. 25 breathes. Head's getting light. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. I can only do 40 seconds. I just felt like I was going to die. I don't know how I managed to do 4 minutes before. You feel like you're going to die. Ah, dear. I must have been so hardcore last time I'd done it. I only done 40 seconds. That's terrible. Anyway, I know I'd done it on camera. It's just like, it's so uncomfortable, you know. I'd like to see someone else do it who's not done it before. We should have another go at that. That is terrible. 40 seconds. I've done 4 minutes. I've done 4 minutes on video like about 3 weeks ago. I was so impressed. It feels like I'm going to die. What the fuck was that about? Okay, another time. Okay, 1 minute 28. I'm going to stop there and go till 1 minute 25. No, 1 minute 33. I should be able to do 5 minutes. Fuck. Not even a minute. Just over a minute. It was horrible. You feel like you're drowning or something. Fucking hell. I don't know how I managed to do 4 minutes. It's fucking beyond me. I mean, at the time, I thought it was only 2.5 minutes. Fucking hell. I just done about 1 minute and 10 seconds. I suppose you have to keep working at it. I suppose, you know, there was the first time I'd done it, and I went 4 minutes, and I don't know how I managed to do it. It seems unbelievable, but I know I did it. It's on camera. It's like you go through these barriers, these sort of like panic barriers or pain barriers, where you just feel like you're dying, you know. And when you go through it, which I did before, because I went 4 minutes without it, it's like your brain just changes. And I found certain benefits. Okay, this has been not a very good day for me. Lots of failures. I know 4 minutes is extreme. But the thing is, I know people. No, I don't need a mouth to mouth. How around the pool must have been a small pool. If it was anything like, I could barely do a width of my pool. Like when I was a kid, a width was a long time. That was only about 10 or 15 seconds to do a width, and that would seem to be like hard work and almost impossible. That's what it's like now. It's like I'm getting the same thing I done before. You know, when I was younger, it's like that's how easy it is for me to hold my breath at the moment. It's like when I was like a kid. But 3 weeks ago, I did do 4 minutes. It was extreme, you know, and even I think my who's it was watching? Hot Retarded Chicks was watching. You know, he said it was intense when he watched it. You know, and it was intense, and I need to do more practice. I don't know what it is. Maybe I've just been drinking too much or something. But I was drinking when I'd done that. I was drinking wine. Maybe what I should be drinking wine. I think I'm allergic to beer. That's what it is. I need to stop drinking beer. You want to see what mind rape art? Surely not me doing a whip fight in the swimming pool. Ah dear, I need to get someone who's like a girlfriend or something who's got a mobile phone who can do videos for me while I'm doing stuff out in the wild and stuff, collecting wild herbs and doing like stuff. The 4 minute run. Yeah, didn't you see it then? Let me just try and find it on the video. I probably can find it if I have a good look. It'll take a few minutes to find it. Right. You know, because that's probably the best thing, you know, because I'm making a video now and it's like, you know, right, so I've got to go to my channel. It'd take a couple of minutes to find it. Oh, my video is so slow. You know. I wish I had lots of money so I could make get a proper computer. That's what I need, loads of money. I need to make loads of money so I can get a proper computer stuff. I don't want videos. Okay. Okay, let's have a look. It was quite a long video. Oh, a lot of my videos are quite short. Let's have a look. Ah, when did I do it? Oh, was that it? Maybe it was that one. I'm just going to have a quick look. What? That can't be right. I'm just looking through stuff, you know, to try and find it. It's going to take a little while, I think. Because the title of the video has got nothing to do with breathing exercises. They're called Gnostics. No, that's not the one. Is that this? It was quite a long video. Let me have a look at a longer one. Okay. Well, let me try this one then. Stuff I forgot to say last time. I think that might be the one. Well, I've got two possibilities here. I don't think that's it because I ain't got no comments. I think it's a book. It's a free economics book. I was looking at homicide in various countries throughout the world. Don't worry, back and watch some. Go and watch some other videos, and you can come back here and watch this later. This and I'll have it ready for you.